I go, birds just crack me up so much. I say that to people all the time. I'm like, birds aren't real, you know.
I know he's made tons of money making all that merchandise, hasn't he?
I don't know. I don't know anything about his merchandise. I
Where
hope
did
he did. He deserves every penny.
where did that come from that birds aren't real? Are they spies?
CIA's drones. They're all drones.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're the pigeons are actually mechanical and the CIA and yeah. I've
oh.
expanded it. I'm like, you know, cars aren't real. That's an NSA conspiracy. I just you just mix it up a little.
That's funny.
Am I
They're
in the
Yeah,
right
well,
channel?
birds are spying on you every day.
yeah. But he was like outside of one of the FBI offices with a megaphone. Yeah, going, "We know birds aren't real" and stuff.
He was
It was
he was
great.
on TV. I mean, look at it. It's birdsaren'treal.com.
Okay.
I wouldn't have seen it on TV. I don't watch TV, but I saw it online. It was big online. It was really big online. It was
Birds aren't
shocking
real.
popular.
Do you have to put the apostrophe?
No. How can you put the apostrophe in a URL?
Okay. Well, you normally would put that between the N and the T. Okay.
Don't
I'll
you know
look it up.
in internet speak, I mean, all punctuation is gone.
Okay.
True.
Oh.
You don't put question marks. You don't put exclamation points.
Hmm.
God, I hope Aaron's going to be on and tell us something positive. Jeez. Hey, it's 9:32. Is George here?
He's here.
George,
George
do
is
you want
here.
me to
I'm
just
here.
give the
Fire it up,
depressing
Aaron's
George.
here.
market report?
No, I'm just saying, hey, everybody.
Okay.
Let's see what's going on. No, that's fine.
George,
What do you
check
want
your
to do?
text messages.
Yeah, I got him.
Okay.
What
I
I
just
want
sent
to
you
do is
something.
make some money today, and it's very challenging in this dumb market.
Just short something.
I thought you had everything shorted, Patty.
Oh, well, it only works when you get bounces, you
Oh,
know.
got
So
it.
Monday was a great day. And then, oh, wait, no, was it this
Yeah, it was
week?
Monday.
Or was that
That's when he
Monday?
announced
Well, should
But
we get a
he
bounce up
announced.
today?
I don't know if people care too much about the TSA, but I thought it would have had a positive reaction. It's the oil. Oil is the problem. The oil price of oil.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't I just run through? And I
Sure.
realized I usually give the report, hey, last week, well, we didn't do a call last week, so I thought I'd change it up with giving a big picture for the month, because I was putting all these dates from 5 days ago. And
Well, it
five
is.
days ago,
Yeah.
it actually gives a distorted look um, of the market. So, okay, let me just do the 1 month. So for the Dow in 1 month is down 6.07%, close to 3,000 points, 2,970 something. The S&P is down 5.07%. It's lost 393 points. The NASDAQ, oh my God. Yesterday we actually went below 10% for, um, it said the year, although my chart only showed six. So pretty painful, down 1,744 points, close to 7% down. Um, the Russell, it looks like the Russell was up in the past 5 days, but that's kind of deceiving. Year to date, it's down 1.18%, and in a month, it's down 5.39%. So the market's in a pretty pitiful place. Gold and silver had a big sell-off this week. So gold is now $4,456 this morning. Year to date, it's up 2.95% only. Silver, it's been cut in half if you're watching silver. It's
Hmm.
$68 this morning. Year to date, it's down 4.26%. We ran up to like 110 and it's given it all back. The dollar is holding steady. I looked back last week, it was 100, or 2 weeks ago, it was 111. So we've lost 4 cents, but it's maintaining. It's right at 100.07. A month ago, it was 99.7. So that's, it lost 30 cents, or it's up 30 cents, sorry. And the 10-year, wrong direction, continues to go higher, 4.46%. It's up 0.2% since last Friday. And WTI crude, oh, last I looked, it was $97. That shot up to 119 2 weeks ago. And that's Swanee, that and the 10-year and the dollar being so strong is what's hurting the market. I did look back. In 1 month, WTI is up 45%. In 3 months, it's up 70.44%. And that, bleeds into everything: services, food, transportation.
Yes.
The market is just miserable. Yeah. I have no good news. And I don't even
Okay.
have a positive forecast.
Well, this is not a financial advice channel, believe me. If you follow us at financial advice, you're on the wrong channel. But let me say this. We're getting lower in armaments, and those military industrial complex boys are going to be licking their chops soon. They're going to get some big orders.
Nah,
So they're probably already getting them, and
yeah.
we'll see what happens. So I think we are running low on armaments, and I think something's got to happen. But anyway, that's just my take. So,
Well, the
Aaron, you
overall
want
theme is the Strait of Hormuz and what in the heck is going on over there. I think that's the answer. Once that thing starts allowing ships through, things might loosen up a bit.
And what NATO is doing to help us, which is nothing.
No.
People.
Yeah.
Ouch.
All
Thank you,
All
Mike.
right. Bring Aaron on with some
Yeah,
positive news, please.
I'm sure he's got lots of news.
Yeah,
I
hey,
do.
yeah, I'm just gonna disappoint you right off the bat. But yeah, nothing too exciting to be honest. Still not trading this kind of chop with Bitcoin in the 60,000 range up to maybe mid 70s. That's all I'm really looking at, somewhere in that range, really low 60s up to mid 70. Sounds like a weather forecast. But
Yeah.
uh, but no, that's really the range that I'm watching for like any major breakouts. Still lots of news with either a Marathon selling some of their Bitcoin or, Tom Lee buying all the Ethereum. So it seems like it's pretty mixed with big macro, purchases, not really in one direction either, as far as like fundamentally. But one of the things I am watching as far as like tokens and would accumulate down in this range would be TAO, TAO. Pretty bullish on that as it goes along. It does trend pretty closely to Bitcoin, but I think there's a lot more upside advantage as far as like percentage gain over time. But that's one along with Zcash, which has kind of faded away in popularity a little bit in the last few months. But definitely look into that one. I think that one's worth watching, a little bit more stable than some of the other more risk risk. I guess it's relative, but yeah. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on.
What's the name of the coin again?
It's Tau. Is the ticker's TAO. I think I've heard Dennis talk about it, and Dennis before too. I'm not sure, but or I've
Yeah.
heard it on here before, but
The coin from
yeah, it's what it is.
BitTensor.
You should find it. It's pretty easily on all the centralized exchanges by now. So it's a larger market cap coin. I think that's got some potential and ties into that AI data center kind of infrastructure and supporting that. So it's relative or kind of relative to what's moving with that, and kind of with AI too. There was something interesting that came out yesterday there was an old blog post, or not that old, with Anthropic. But they could be, although I think it was verified, or they at least acknowledged it, that a new model, Mythos, and then Capybara, which is like would be like Claude Opus. This would be like Mythos, like Capybara is my understanding. But apparently it poses a lot of cybersecurity risk, even more so. And there's, ties to the potential of AGI, or that artificial general intelligence that we're eking closer and closer to, which is interesting how, I guess people govern. If Anthropic's already worried about it, but they seem to be kind of tight-lipped on it. But I don't know. We'll see with that. See if there's an actual new model, or that's kind of interesting. And then if you follow the White House's X page or Twitter page, I think they're going to have some news on the aliens coming up soon. Somebody was talking about conspiracy theories and stuff, but who's ever got control of their X account has got to be like a college student that's definitely into memes. And you have this mimetic warfare going on from the White House, where they use current memes and current to kind of normalize, geopolitical issues, and it very controversial, but a lot of people have, criticized them in the past, but it's becoming more and more, and you're seeing nations, the Department of State, all kinds of larger, even I think it was, Gavin Newsom was posting comparing himself to like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. So all kinds of crazy mimetic warfare, I think, is going to be more and more prevalent. Of course, all the memes that come with it, and the meme coin. So it's interesting from that standpoint. But yeah, I think they may be tweeting. They sent a lot of kind of, I guess, pixelated images, building up some sort of hype on some sort of announcement, but something to distract people from what's really going on, as usual. But yeah, that's kind of getting distracted by that gets me off, or it gets me away from the, trading and away from the charts. So at least there's some entertainment. But yeah, that's all I got.
Don't look up.
That Tau is up 82% in 30 days.
Yeah, so it's definitely outpaced Bitcoin, and it'll move. What I've seen with the trends of Bitcoin, maybe 0.5% here, you'll see maybe 5 to 10% almost. So there's kind of a lot more advantage to almost trading that in line with Bitcoin, but not financial advice, but definitely one to hold on to and keep an eye on their news and developments.
Well, just looking at the chart, if you bought it now, you're buying it almost at the high. The high is 380, 365. So buyer beware. And now it's at 322, and it looks like it bottomed February 11th. My God, that was only a month and a half ago. It was 147.
Yeah. And if you think about it,
give us a heads up before something goes up.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, I mean, that's why I still think it's got a lot of room. The overall macro market's bearish, bear market territory. So to see the outperformers in this kind of market kind of leads you to, that DCA for a longer term hold too. And that I still think it has upside, because when the whole macro market does turn up, it'll be one of the ones that turns up even stronger, in my opinion, or typically with those kind of runners. So if it's showing strength now, it's going to show even more strength when the market overall does turn around. So that's kind of like the outliers that I like to look for in bear markets.
Hey, do they have something like FinViz for the crypto world? You know what FinViz is? That shows the high moving stocks and all of that every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that you can use. I mean, I use StockTwits because I've used that, I don't know, for like 10 years though, but they got an app that it has stocks and crypto, and you can get a little bit of, you can make your watch list, and then it'll have the ones that are trending, and then you'll get all the idiots in the comments that, try to FUD or do whatever they do in there. But at least you'll find like maybe a diamond in the rough in some of the comments in there to where you'll get some information on it. But really, any centralized exchange I typically has prices, but for overall, I'll just turn on StockTwits and go through my watch list.
Huh.
All
Yeah,
right. Well, let's.
I've been buying Tau for well over a year and just stacking it. If you look at the supply, it's 21 million. It's basically, it's the coin that basically offers a relationship, to the as the operating system, for decentralized AI. One of the unique qualities of it is if they spin up a node that's actually got an application, that works. I mean, it almost instantly monetizes it, and you could see the impact of it. So it's big play from Barrett Dillard with the Grayscale. They created a separate fund for that, and it's a lot of people putting a lot of money into it. So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm actually at par right now. I've got a $10 loss in my portfolio. So
That's
uh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, if you're going to trade it, that's one thing. But if you're looking at it as a long-term buy, to basically maybe an early Bitcoin, related play, similar, in context and time frames, that's really what you're looking at.
Okay.
yeah, and another thing to consider too, Patty, with the current price, although it's up 80%, it's a newer project, newer token as well, so there isn't a ton of price history compared to, that's been through like an altcoin bull market, or XRP, or some of these Solana, some of the ones that have been around for a while. There's a ton of price history in that crazy altcoin bull markets where they have
Hmm.
all these crazy all-time highs. It hasn't really had that moment to shine to where it just has that crazy parabolic spike like a lot of the altcoins do. So I
Mhm.
still think, like Dennis said, it's got its time, and it's newer, so it's more relatable to what's currently happening compared to something that was designed in last bull market 2020 and trying to adapt. This is more so for the current landscape. So I think that's kind of the fundamental upside to it.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
We'll watch it.
yeah. Let's pivot to a couple of things because we do want to speak about our trip to Newberry last Friday, which is why we didn't have the call. And we'll get to that in a second. I just wanted to mention that I've got a, a podcast I'm going to participate in starting next month. It'll be at the website called Liberty Crack Media. And this guy's Trip Detmeyer. I'm sorry, Trip Detmering, and he has a number of different podcasts. One of them is called Trip Has Issues. Another one is Conversations with a Hoff, Hoff. There's another one called The Bookworm Mom. And then there's The Microphone Monkeys. And this is all under the label of Liberty Crack Media. And so he's going to create another podcast that has some crypto discussion in it as well as other topics. But we're going to lend some insight into crypto on his podcast. And so, being said, I am sure that I'm going to miss one or two of the podcasts. And if anybody would like to take my place and just sort of talk things crypto, kind of like we do here, let me know because I'm probably going to need a sub here and there. So anyway, Liberty Crack Media. I told him I'd give him a little plug. So maybe he'll see a parabolic rise in his readership. We'll see. So why don't we let's see, anything else that we got? Just Easter's coming up. And all that next week. But and then I'm going to be down in Charleston starting today, and then so I'm going to see some of the folks Sunday night at New Realm Brewery for dinner at about 7 o'clock.
Weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, that's Sunday night.
Thanks for the reminder.
New Realm Brewery. Let's see. So what we I'm just going to sort of hand it over to Dennis. He's going to take us how we got to this Bitcoin mining, not Bitcoin, I'm sorry, crypto mining facility in Newberry. And we have several of our hosts on the call, and we'll get them, we'll recognize them in a second and talk to them. But Dennis, can you just get us into a little bit of just insight about how we had the meeting and how it started, what the purpose was. You're muted, Dennis.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to, I think, segue into that is, look at the past and, and how we got to where we are and where we're going with it. Obviously, the conversation that took place after the Tech and Law series that we did with the University of South Carolina Law School really, introduced this next step. The Dean Moore at the law school, who hosted all that, had simply contacted me and expressed an interest in with his students to visit a Bitcoin mining operation. So we pulled out the the short list and identified something in proximity, and Newberry was still operating. We've lost a lot of Bitcoin mining in the state already, just because of price structure. But they're still obviously, well, as we saw from the event, well established, and actually mining Litecoin there. We found out when we got there. That was an interesting little twist. But we had roughly about 10 people from the law school, students, administration, and then I think with George's help, Mark Baraday with the Lexington County delegation, GOP rather, got interested, and he put a group together that included some of the Lexington County folks and some folks that were tied to Newberry College, and then we had to twist George's arm to come, but he made it, and I think we had a great opportunity. So always good to to see where we're going, and the facility there, just as an overview, is a small facility by comparison, 6 megawatts as a maximum, operating between, and Chris, I think you could probably confirm this better, but between 3.5 to 5 megawatts or so, and regularly interrupted, certainly providing grid benefits.
So
The siting, was a big, was certainly a interesting location off the road next to a substation, a piece of property, owned by the utility company for that matter, something nobody else would probably ever use for any kind of application whatsoever, outside of perhaps building and expanding, the substation. So,
well, Dennis,
let me hand it back to
yeah.
you, George. I mean,
Yeah, that's great. And so we put together a couple of pictures, a couple of slides from the visit, and I thought maybe we just pan through those and sort of give a running commentary about what we're doing. And if I can stop it at any time, Chris, if you want to jump in. Chris is on the call. Hey, and Chris is our technician and our host at the Easy Blockchain site in Newberry. So we'll start with and I'm assuming everybody can see that. Am I right?
you need to share your screen.
I got to share my screen. Okay, let me do that. Let's see. Share. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Everybody sees that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody. Okay. Just one yes is all I need. Okay. So we're going to run through a little bit about what we saw and what they spoke about. And, this is the outside from the fence, obviously. Dennis set up a beautiful display here. We have our two hosts. Chris is on the left. Alex is our leading spokesman for Easy Blockchain. He's in the blue shirt as well. I don't know who that guy is in the red jacket, but the guy on the right there is Mark Medere or whatever his name is, last name is Demaray, but that's Mark on the right. Anyway, so we took these pictures on the outside and of the facility, and then we had a number of people joining us from outside the law school, Lexington County, and then Dennis brought some swag, and he found this model to model one of his hats,
Oh
one of his
gosh.
caps. And there it is. If you don't have one of these, they are a definitely an attraction. And he's got one for Clemson. He's got the orange Clemson, and he's got the garnet for the Gamecocks. So they are very conversation worthy. I've had a number of people say, "I love your hat."
Right.
Way to go, Dennis. Thank you.
That's the way to go. Yeah. They do attract attention.
Yes, they do. And conversation. So he had a number of these out there, and we had a good time with that. And then as we were sort of talking,
Let me back up just a second. I
back
do
up.
want to well, just want to recognize, obviously, that Representative Joe White, joined us. He's the local House member and Republican Party
This guy.
delegation.
Not
Yes,
this
and
guy.
Joe was very interested in attending. I mean, I've spoken with him in the past. He owns Bitcoin. He has a very powerful voice, really on the Freedom Caucus side, and it was really a pleasure to have him there and see what was going on firsthand. I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, Chris, you can say how long this, y'all have been operating there, but nobody knew, nobody really knew you were there. I mean, from a delegation standpoint, this has been a very, uh, you know, very low profile facility, that has been operating consistently now for what, 2 or 3 years, and
3 years.
and it was a real eye opener. Yeah, and I think it was a real eye opener to the folks that are in the process of debating this right now. To put a real world project in context with all of the controversy around data centers, and I think it dispelled a lot of the rumors very quickly.
Yeah. So, and y'all just jump in, ask questions, whatever. We don't have any structure to this call, but and we kind of broke up as the conversation started to become more individualized. We broke up and started having some conversation, and then so getting just a lot of us did not know each other, except the law students knew each other. But anyway, then we were set up, ready to go to the mining, where the actual miners are, and we had conversations outside the fence, and we spoke at a normal tone. We didn't have to raise our voices any, but as you get closer to the facility, it is louder, and and at some point you can't even talk to each other. You just have to use your sign language. So this is the entry hall or the entryway towards the door that leads into the miners. That's Alex on the left, and then what is that material, Chris, that's on the wall there? Is that a filter or is that some noise?
So that's hog hair. We actually cut it out and installed it on the doors as an extra set of filters.
Okay.
Um, we normally have lots of pollen during this time of the year, so that tends to
Right.
attract the pollen. We normally have monthly cleaning, so right now is just the beginning of the pollen season. But
Yeah.
the hog hair on the doors and the mesh normally get cleaned off with water.
The mesh
Is that
is
on both sides, Chris? The
Yeah,
going into the facility as well as on the other side of that, the corridor.
so on the other side is on the outside of the awning, it's mosquito netting, but
Okay.
on the intake doors where Alex is at, that's hog hair. That's on every single door of each DC. And then behind those doors, we normally have filters, but we tend to take those filters out when when the temperature changes.
Got it. Okay. So everything is gravel there. There's no pavement or asphalt. And we lined up. You could only go in one at a time, and you could not walk the. Explain that, Chris. It's very tight in there. If you're
Yeah,
claustrophobic, it's probably not for you.
yeah. I'm gonna say about the aisle's probably about 3 feet wide. You just want to be careful in there, just because we have 64 breakers per delta, and we have 6 deltas in there. Uh, the, each data center could hold about 768 machines, but that's dependent on the type of machine and the power usage it draws. But yeah, it's very tight in there.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll just go in, and then there are the miners, and they're just whirling away, and you can just see that they're uh, stacked up and side by side, and every available space that or every available inch is utilized here to make money, right?
Yeah, correct. And they draw about 3,000 to 3,400 kilowatts.
Got it. And how many? Let me see. What was my question? That's the wall. And then how many? You say there's a delta, meaning that these are lined up in sort of a triangle configuration.
Yeah, there's
You're
6 of those.
saying,
There's 6 deltas. On
yeah,
each delta, there's 2 sides.
yeah.
We call it panels, but
Hmm.
each panel could hold up to 64 ASICs.
And how many pods are there of these miners?
So we have 3 data centers on site.
Okay,
Um, but yeah, right now we only have about 1,600 machines, but we have the capacity to hold 768 miners in each data center.
so I'm trying to do the math there. Six, what is it? What do you mean when you say data center? Are you talking about the whole facility, or are you talking about a pod, or what?
When you say pod, I think we're referring to the same thing, a data center, the
Okay,
container itself. But yeah,
got it. The container. Okay,
the max capacity for the site is 2,304 machines and rated up to 6 megawatts.
got it. Okay, excellent. All right. Anybody else have any
So there's
questions?
capacity.
I'm gonna close this down.
How much capacity expansion do you have? Um,
So
so
right
you don't have
now,
everything on site currently, correct?
I don't have my data centers full with machines. Right now, it says I have
Got it.
1,554 hashing. So I have room for 750 machines, and I'm only drawing 4.75 megawatts. So I have room for 1.25 megawatts.
Got it.
Okay.
So, what's your electric bill?
So
Um,
and is that with
So
I'm sorry, I lost you for a couple seconds.
somebody asked about how much you spend on electricity a month. Are you willing to share that with us, or is that not?
Uh, I can share it because we use Foreman. It's a dashboard to monitor all the ASICs and power consumption. With the power calculation we have inputted in here, it's about $7,068 a day to run. So about, I'll do the full math. Seven.
$2
We're
million
going to talk
a year?
about that, Chris, in a minute. We got a couple of videos of Alex
Yeah,
speaking about all this, but
yeah, that's fine.
yeah. So yeah, I'm going to bring Alex on in a video in a second where he talks about the business model. I call it the business model and how this operation is set up. And unless anybody's got any questions right quickly, then I'm going to go ahead and try and play this video, the next video, with the what I call the business model. So let's see if I can share this baby. So give me 1 second while I try to get this set up. There we go.
And Chris, have you had any operational discussions about if you did transition, say one of these pods, to AI input center, how that might look differently from, what you have, currently?
That I'm not sure about. Normally at the warehouse, they have those discussions, but primarily with these data centers, it's mainly for ASIC mining. The
Yeah.
infrastructure is already here, so all they would have to do is maybe just refurbish the inside of the
Yeah.
box or just replace the box itself.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a completely different, setup, rack space and, concentration and even, how much capacity, you're
Yeah.
putting on each rack.
And then we
So,
need
I mean, I
a
would
different
think
kind of
that,
cooling also.
Let
cooling
me
as
just
well, filtration. I mean, I'm sure, it's a much different, overall configuration from what I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm going to play this video. You have to sort of pay attention to it at the very beginning. So anyway, just I'm going to play this, and you can hear the miners operating in the background, but I think you can hear this fairly clearly. So here's Alex explaining what their business model looks like.
And we come in and we say, hey, that spare that you have as a storage to help balance your grid, anytime that you need it, just because I know in CS, what they try to do.
They got the wrong video.
Right. So they try to balance that so that there's not a lot of extra. Sure. They don't want to just use and buy a lot of extra. So they try not to have a lot of extra that they're buying. So that's not good for the customers.
Sure, but you're always going to have a lot of extra.
Well,
because you're going to go running at about 60%, 70% of your capacity normally until you hit that time period where both those users, the residential and commercial, hit. And we hit the super peak in the summer, July 4th, at 4:30 in the afternoon. That's when you're going to hit that peak. And so you're planning for that level. Then you've got all that available capacity, which seems to me like it would be a really good model for a lot of municipal utilities, like the Municipal Association of South Carolina, where all the munis, all the co-ops should be interested in this because if you co-located next to a substation, you can sell. You can be interested. Well, because they're not that. I would say they're not that.
There's
a lot. There's
reasons why they're not all interested.
Yeah, it seems like there's little risk, because it's modular, you can remove it.
Look, I think it's a really macro example of where we have opportunity, and we all know these some of the chemicals, the big black eye that we have are
They got Dennis.
I'm sorry. Okay, we've had 7 years of roughly 100 megawatts of capacity that is available there that hasn't been utilized, and it could have been monetized over this period of time. Now obviously, the move is to rebuild it. After we have big news coming back in line, all of a sudden, but nonetheless, okay, understanding the industry and being able to apply it in areas such as Mississippi, where we have stranded resources, we can do much more. We invested literally billions of dollars in revenue that could have subsidized the cost of that to our consumers, but are paying for that project right now.
So there you go. I've got the wrong video. I apologize, but I thought that was kind of interesting. I let it play. That had to do with this stranded electricity that people speak about.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I can answer anything on the curtailment if you guys want to know our process and how it affects our operations.
I'm going to try and find the video.
Have you
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. You got to say it again. Or am I?
Do you advertise that to say, hey, we're curtailing?
Yeah, so normally we have customers come to the site before they
have you curtailed?
Yes, we have curtailed. Yes, we curtail normally. It just depends on the consumption of what the city is using and what we're using. Our last curtailment was last week. It was during the cold days in the morning. We normally curtail for about an hour or two. But yes, our customers are notified, and we are also notified 30 minutes and an hour before this happens.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing how much communication goes on there.
So are you using off peak or
And do you get any positive?
or do they have off peak and peak hours?
They have peak hours for residential. For us, peak hours, it just really demands on the power consumption of what everyone's using. So as they said it earlier in the video, during the hottest season, say July 4th, we will curtail maybe around 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. or 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. And then the winter days, we will curtail in the very early morning from say 6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
So do you have a special agreement with who's the provider? Duke or
Control. They provide energy to Duke. So I want to say Santee. I want to say NEC also. I'm not too familiar in all the power companies that gets distribution power, but we are told when to curtail. If we don't curtail, our energy bill is say 4 or 5 times the price of what it would be if we don't curtail.
Right, but I mean, do you have a special agreement on the price with them? Or?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's how the business model works. You basically go to a power company and you try to figure out what energy is not being used, and you try to cut a deal with them. Say, hey, I will use this much energy for this pricing, and we will guarantee we will use that energy, and they will resell that energy to you. And then from our perspective, we resell the energy to clientele, but we also provide the infrastructure to host the ASIC miners.
So let me see if I can play that.
Mike, I believe the utility company there is Fairfield Electric Co-op. Is that not correct, Chris?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah.
Fairfield Electric Co-op, I believe, is the operating company there.
Newberry.
Central. Yeah, Newberry. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Newberry Electric Co-op. But we get our emails about Control from Central. Central's who sends the emails to all the power companies.
Yeah. Okay, let me. I think this is the business model.
If I may,
yeah, go ahead.
For your purposes, Central Electric came out with a blanket rate policy for large users, but it's reserved for 20 megawatts or more. This site doesn't fall under that, but obviously it has a lot of the same characteristics as a separate deal that was negotiated before. Really they're recognizing what large users are looking for, but that was just that was just announced last week, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's right, Dennis. Very good. So I think this is the business model, and so let's see if we can get this to play, and we'll see.
And the biggest difference is how we.
Okay, this is not it, but let's listen to this anyway because it's interesting, the difference between AI data centers and what they're doing here at Newberry.
And also how we produce power. So, for example, if you were starting a brand new manufacturing location, if you were having, like, say, cold storage for food, you would need access to that power 24/7. So you would basically come to the local energy provider and say, we're wanting to expand here. Do you have room for, say, 1 megawatt of electricity? One of the things that a power company has to do when they allocate power, they have to be able to have enough in the grid for peak demand. So typically what happens is when everybody goes home in the afternoon, say 4, 5, 6, 7 in the afternoon, first thing you do is you crank up your AC, or if it's, in the wintertime, a lot of people have electric coolers that you turn on, electric blankets, and it puts a demand on the grid. And so because of that fact, electricity providers have to provide 100% of power at all times, although it usually stays at about 60 to 75%. That's the average load use. So anybody that's coming in to do, say, AI, they have to be a part of that equation. What we do is we come in with a totally different business proposition. We say, hey, that extra 30% that you're not using, why don't you sell it to us? It's already being produced. You're not burning anything else to be able to create new electricity. You're not having to provide new solar, new wind, new hydrocarbons. There's nothing that you have to do. All we want to do is take what's already being produced and use up to 100% of it. And any time that we want us to, we can take the site down from 4.75 megawatts of electricity down to from near zero. Just a little bit, what we call cooling, a little bit of overhead that we use just to kind of keep our switches and lights on so they can back up. So that to us, it's a totally different business model, and it helps with the community to be able for them to say, hey, look, here's money, here's records that we would not have been able to get, and we're not having to provide anything extra for it to be able to get it. And then now the next thing that we're getting into, we're starting to see a merging of crypto and AI. Where what we do is we have a mix. We will either 50, 50, 20, 80, and then that way we can still curtail and still have power available for AI. And then, yes, in very rare instances, we would have to shut that down. But that's kind of the next stage that we're starting to see into. We're starting to see a marriage of both the crypto miners and the AI. Yes.
So that's kind of interesting.
To summarize that, you know, the difference really, you know, with interruptible power with a AI inference center is how much they can shut down, how quickly, by comparison to a Bitcoin mining operation that is really set up, you know, specifically for that purpose. I mean, you know, AI inference, you know, can shift loads to another data center if they're going to be interrupted. So, you know, you do impact that a little bit with who your business customers are, you know, from the standpoint of latency and replies. But, you know, that's where these two, you know, types of data centers, you know, complement each other because of the intensive amount of power that the AI inference centers need, you know, but they don't necessarily need it 24/7 because you're dealing with a business model. And you know, during work periods when obviously the biggest amount of strain on the grid may be from people coming home or obviously residential customers as well. But the ability to shift that load to another data center, you know, provides the inference center with the similar characteristics to the Bitcoin mine. But if you're running Bitcoin mining, you know, as part of your model, and that's what we're seeing, you know, the transition, say, with Core Scientific and CoreWeave.
Yeah.
You know, they're eventually working, you know, their Bitcoin mining out of the system because inference is just more profitable and don't have the tight constraints of the price controls, you know, for, you know, to make money. But at the same time, you know, the operation as a 24/7 operation guaranteeing, you know, constant load to the utility company because that's what they want. They don't want to see it, you know, you shutting down. I mean, they want to, you know, they want to be selling you electricity 24/7, you know, at that same rate, you know, so that allows the inference center to operate, you know, overnight when it typically may be a reduced amount of demand, or rather, you know, for the electricity and for inferences. So Bitcoin mining is the, you know, is sort of the balancer for that.
Yeah, Dennis, that's great because, you know, it just shows you how fast this market is moving and how innovative they are. Because last year, this wasn't even this blending between a AI data center, also mining Bitcoin or any kind of crypto blending was not even on the conversation table, not even on anybody's thinking
Right.
last year. Now
Right.
we're moved into this year, and it's amazing how fast this thing is moving, and that for people to look back at what data centers were 5 years ago is ridiculous because what they are today is not even close to what they were, the new ones.
And that's
Just coming
why
out of the ground.
your AI infrastructure is really looking at the large users in the Bitcoin community, okay, because they have experience with this. We've been doing it since, you know, for, you know, since ASICs were introduced. I mean, you know, so the ability to shift load, obviously, the noise issues, you know, were resident earlier on to the Bitcoin mining operations, air cooled. You know, we know they're a little noisy, you know, in a site like this. I mean, perfect location for that. But obviously, the self-contained structures that an inference center provides night and day difference. I mean, we're not talking about air cooled facilities. I mean, that's going to be, either a water cooled or a contained structure at that point, versus an open filtration system, that this particular design represents. So,
I think, I'm sorry,
yeah,
because
well, I was
we're
going to say the
bumping up
cooling
to the hour.
mechanisms that are coming with this. A lot of the cooling systems, a lot of the closed loop systems, the immersion systems, were all pioneered in the Bitcoin industry. And now we're seeing them being introduced, obviously, at all levels of the AI inference center.
Yeah. So I think might be the business model. Let me see. So I think this is the last one that we have time for because it's 20 after the hour. And I got stuff to do, and so does everybody else on the call. So let's
Get on
see
the
if I got
road.
this one finally right. Let's see. There you go.
Saying back in the gold rush, had a people back rich, the ones that actually buying for the gold and the one that sold the Levi jeans. Okay, so we sell the Levi jeans. We really don't take off the risk of the machine. What we do is we look for energy providers, provide the infrastructure, and then we have customers that give us a machine, and then we also that's what we do. And so then our technicians just make sure that those machines are running as much as possible. Into that in a second. In case of your yes, we are actually mining light here, and the machines that actually the mining referred to as ASICs, and that stands for application specific miners. And they're so application specific that one that's to mine for Litecoin will not be able to Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and any other type. Now there are some rare instances, but they're usually like a variant of Litecoin or a variant of Bitcoin, but they're not going to be interested.
So there you go. Finally, I got the one I was looking for. So yeah. Anybody want to opine in on that?
So I just did some basic research, and so apparently Santee Cooper has 800 megawatts, not in their hydroelectric power. They said, and I think they said that NEC has they are close to like 938 over the year they sold, but they don't disclose how much they have right now.
Okay.
So I mean, so they're taking 4 megawatts a year.
6
5 or less, yeah.
5 or less. Okay. 5 or less. Huh.
About 5, 6.
It's a very small percentage of the grid of the generation capacity, but obviously it's providing benefits that no other customer can provide. I mean, a hospital can't do this. A conference center can't shut down immediately, not without a substantial investment in batteries, and that technology is just now becoming operational at scale. So the use for facilities like this as a grid balancing tool, I mean, that's just a benefit that it provides. I mean, pure and simple. So, the rhetoric associated with how these facilities are just using our power, taking up all the capacity, that should be reserved for residential users. I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, that argument sounds great on the surface, but when you really kind of drill down into it, we're talking about, what's the price of eggs? I mean, are we talking about the price of eggs, for the guy that walks into the grocery store and buys a carton of eggs, or the producer, that's selling it to the wholesaler, that's using it and obviously breaking it up and selling it to, through the distribution channel. So I mean, it's a simple business model. Big users get a better price, than smaller users, and but obviously the benefits of that accrue in different ways. So
let me finish up with Trump was on an interview discussion last night at 5 o'clock, talking about the need for power in data centers, and I believe he mentioned that we need in the future 3 to 5 times the amount of energy being produced in the United States today in the next
Right.
5 years. It's going to be an amazing growth, and these legacy. Anyway, I'm not going to opine on that, but anyway, just there's a lot of energy getting ready to be produced, and data centers are driving that. So we need to take our piece of it here in South Carolina. But I did want to give Chris just a minute to sort of tell us a little bit about himself. He's been in tech. He lives in South Carolina, and has been with them, I guess, since they started here in Newberry.
Yeah, I started the site in Newberry. We started actually right behind the co-op behind NEC with Berry 1. But ever since the power deal did not fall through last year, we had to shut that site down because of the cost of electricity. And right now we're just operating Berry 2. I started with Easy Blockchain originally in Georgia back in 2021. This is during the last bull run. Yeah, I retired from the Army. I've always been into GPU mining, and then I saw this opportunity, and they took me right away. Yeah, it's been a passion of mine. I do mining at home. I'm into DeepIn. I got some ASIC miners at the site also. But yeah, my job mainly here is to make sure the infrastructure runs well, replacing motors, fans, the electrical infrastructure, and also working on the ASIC machines themselves. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and what I do here.
Good. So I do know that one of the questions asked of Alex was how many employees are at this Easy Blockchain facility, and I believe he said roughly two. That's you and another one.
Yeah.
So it's not these are not a huge job opportunities. They are, but you do pay some sort of taxes somehow
Hang on.
for the property taxes. You said hang on? Anyway, some sort of
Property taxes and sales tax.
So I don't expect you to know a lot about the property tax.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the taxes.
Yeah. But through somehow, either they pay rent for the land that they sit on to the utility, and the utility pays their property taxes, or it's a separate entity. I don't know how it's done, but the benefit to the community is the fact that they have a property tax footprint.
Yeah, we do offer jobs.
Yep.
It's just unfortunate that our first site got shut down in South Carolina due to the raise in power prices. But we had in total, I had 6 employees working under me. But right now, I just have 1.
Okay.
But yeah, it opens up a field for tech.
Was that also in Newberry? The other site?
Yeah, it was about 5 minutes away. It was right behind the co-op.
Yeah.
Are y'all maintaining, are y'all maintaining that power agreement and looking for another application, or?
So right now we're waiting to see if power deals, we can get some kind of power deal. But what I was told, I'm not sure if it's certain, we may reopen up Berry 1. So I'm hoping that falls through.
Yeah.
And that was how much capacity? That was capacity, or?
That was similar capacity. I want to say it was also actually was 8 megawatts at that site.
Okay.
Okay. So bigger site. Okay.
Yeah, we had 5 data centers. One of them was immersion. So we had the 4th transformer share the power with 1 data center, air cooled, and 1 immersion.
Oh, you are starting to do immersion cooling.
We did immersion cooling when Berry 1 first started.
Wow.
But as I said, Berry 1 is not operating, it's not running right now. But yeah, immersion was an experience.
Yeah.
And then one final question. I mean, obviously you've got a group of ASICs that either you're working on or rotating in, rotating out for efficiency purposes. I mean, if we had an interest, say from a local technical college, to understand what's involved there. I mean, there's still a business model for replacing or for repairing these things at the technical school level and training folks. I mean, workforce development. Is that something that that you might be able to consider as a as an example where we might be able to show something like that?
Yeah, yeah, I have no problem. The only things the basic knowledge that we have to have on site is just a little bit of networking, understanding how IP schemes work and how are assigned through the network. But yeah, I have no problems teaching
Sure.
anyone how to work on an ASIC, replace a fan, power supply, control board, how it operates in the data center. I can show
Yeah.
all that.
That's interesting. That's a
Like a half a
great
dozen
public
common problems that you have.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm thinking. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay. Well, that's great. I mean, I've been looking for that. I mean, obviously proximity is important, you know, and you know, I'm sure we'll have some interest in that. So
Yeah, if somebody wants to work here for a day, or if you want to have a group of students come here for a day and just work on the site, obviously they have to wear the safety equipment and sign a waiver. That shouldn't be an issue with Easy Blockchain.
interesting. All
sure.
right. All right. Well,
I've got
let's
a
put a
call with
wrap on this
Thursday next
baby.
week. Yeah. Yeah. So looking forward to, you know, building, you know, the conversations after the conversations are the things that, you know, generally net, you know, everybody, you know, more return on what we're doing. That's the name of the game. It's all win-win-win, you know,
That's
you
right.
know, future forward. You know, let's look through the windshield, not through the rear view mirror.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you all. So why don't we wrap this baby up and let's say we'll see you next week. And Chris, I hope you'll join us next week too. Make sure
I'll be here next week.
Yeah, we make sure you're on the list, okay?
Cool, dude.
And just let me chime in one more time. Liberty Crack Media. All right, y'all. Have a great weekend.
All right.
You as
Thanks,
well.
George.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.